Okay, so I've been away a while. I had the strep throat. It really sucked. Actually, I still kind of got it. But it's been too long. Too much has happened over there in England that we got to talk about. Liverpool have had 5 matches since we last checked in. Only 2 in the league, out of the League Cup in the semis and out of the FA Cup. But who cares? For all intents and purposes, we have 2 games to talk about. Liverpool are 10 points back of Chelsea, but let's take a look at the past month and see where things have gone wrong for this team. There's a graphic of the results from the past month. We'll start with the Man City game, which was at the end of last year. That was a solid, well-deserved victory. 6 points back of first and doing really well. This was the last time where there was a really good feeling that we were still in the title race. At that point, we were still in denial about losing our lead at the top of the table, and we felt we could take that spot back. The draw against Sunderland after that, though, was a needle in the back of Jurgen Klopp that really hurt. That was the one they needed to pull out, and tired defending cost them in the end after only 2 days rest. Then they had the 2 cup games that they didn't look particularly good in. Lost to Southampton away to put themselves in a hole in that 2-legged EFL Cup semi-final, thrown right into the middle of a terrible time in the schedule. Manchester United away, and a desperate Swansea team coming up, and before the Chelsea game too. For that Man United game, Liverpool were a worn-down team. Worn down by that bad loss in their first leg of the EFL Cup game midweek at Southampton. Those games take a toll, especially with the style that Liverpool play. But Liverpool looked bad in that game. They weren't their usual dominant selves for maybe the first time this season, and it was a big blow to their ego. Now back to 7 points back. 5 points back wouldn't have been so bad if they had beaten Sunderland, but oh well, gotta move on from that. The Swansea game was a bad loss at home. Although Swansea have some very dangerous players, there was a very bad feeling after this one, because this was the loss that really dented their title hopes. There was still 16 matches to go at that point. 7 points back wouldn't have been that bad. Playing against one of the bottom-dwelling teams in the league that have already gone through 2 managerial changes in the middle of the season, Liverpool fought back to tie that game 2-2. But on a day when the Kop was criticized for its lack of enthusiasm, my friends Steve and Danya were at that game, and at first glance, I would have told them to please never go to another Liverpool game again. What a dreadful day. But it's got to be understandable that there's been a silent anxiety about why the level of play has dropped off, and it shows when you listen to the Anfield crowd. We're all just kind of staring at these games and wondering why the team isn't killing it like they did earlier in the season. And there are reasons, and we'll get to that in a minute. And then there was the Chelsea game where Mignolet was the hero and saved the team a point. But as you can see on the graphic there on the bottom right, their lead over 5th place Manchester City has completely evaporated, and the title race is a distant dream. At the beginning of the season, we considered Liverpool title contenders because they were playing like title contenders. They were playing smooth football, taking their chances at goal with gusto, and the pressing game was working. At this point in the season though, more than halfway through, and now with cup matches against tougher teams thrown in, it's not surprising that Liverpool couldn't hang. But now they've got all that out of the way. They can switch to just focusing on every EPL game like it's their last ever. Although they almost came back in that Wolves game, it's truly a blessing that they don't have that taking up any of their energy or taking up any of Jurgen Klopp's planning time and preparation time. With less games, Gegenpress will be more effective. I have come to a conclusion about Jurgen Klopp's style. You can only do 1 game a week playing like this. If you're asking someone to play that midweek game and then play at the weekend, you're lying to yourself if you think that player is going to be able to give full intensity for both games. But that is mostly over now. There'll probably be some more midweek games, but hopefully there won't be as many midweek games since they're out of the FA Cup. And now they gotta go full force EPL. 15 games left, and the stage is set for what has now become the most important game of the season, the next game. Hull City away. Liverpool played a good game against them last time, 5-1 at Anfield. Lallana scored a great goal that game. He stepped up to give Liverpool the edge, and then they just poured it on. Someone needs to step up again and give Liverpool the edge, whether it be Lallana or it could be Coutinho's first big game back since he came back from injury. And Mane and Firmino can always score at any time, although Firmino should be benched for missing that goal against Chelsea. But this is a big game. Hull City have shown they could fight for a result. As recently as last week, they pulled 0-0 at Old Trafford. Although some are still baffled by the fact that Hull didn't get a red card, Liverpool were definitely helped by the sending off in their last game against Hull. It's a much different Hull team. They got a few new players in January on loan, and it's a different manager from the last time they played Liverpool too. I expect Manchester City will keep up playing Swansea at home, so dropping points could mean for Liverpool dropping out of the top 4 for the first time in a very long time. But one thing's for sure, Jurgen Klopp is into this, and he will give it everything he has to will this team into top 4. And as we all know, he thinks that no team can beat us. Even though Liverpool didn't win that game, what a moment in the history of Liverpool Football Club. In Klopp, we trust. That is all for this edition of Walk On. Stay tuned to Kayhan TV Studios for more sports updates. Till then, try to walk straight, and we'll see you in Hull City.